everyone, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I'm on the floor today because the dogs deserve the chair. Also, I don't want to sit on the edge of the ottoman, but still want you to see the puppies, or at least one of them. The other one's hiding behind me. So today I'm wanting to talk about DNA testing your dog. So a while back I posted Silver and Lucian's DNA results, and I've gotten some interesting messages and comments regarding that video. So I figured I would go over some things to keep in mind if you're planning on DNA testing your dog. But before we get into all that, some of you have been asking me for months and months, quite a long time, when I'm going to DNA test Gypsy and Clea. And the answer to that is soon, because we finally got them their own kits. So I will be irritating the pups with these at the end of the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is people getting really upset at the results when they're doing one of these tests. I've seen for years, you know, breeders and people who thought they bought, you know, a purebred dog do these tests and the tests don't come back that the dog's purebred, or the dog has a breed in it that they absolutely can't stand and they get upset over that. The thing I wish people would remember is DNA testing for your pets didn't come out until 2007, I believe. Now, we've been DNA testing, obviously, animals, you know, longer than that. I mean, I think it started maybe in the 80s, if not, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, and even when it came out, you know, it wasn't readily available for everybody at the time. You could only get it done through the vet office, through blood work. I remember even looking into it because, you know, I wanted to know how much cattle dog Silver was. She was my first healer, so I wanted to know if, you know, what she was doing was, you know, normal cattle dog things, or if she was, you know, something else. I was still a very newbie healer mama back then, so I wasn't sure what this dog was doing because I'd never seen dogs do certain things that she was doing. So I didn't know at the time, so definitely know now. But since it wasn't so common or available back then as it is now for us to just go out and DNA test whatever dog, you know, the main way people identified dogs back then was through, you know, personality and looks. Most of us groomers and vet techs and veterinarians, that's how we identified it. If it looked like a Cocker Spaniel and acted like one, that's kind of what it is. If the dog had definable traits, that's how we identified them. Is it a cattle dog? Check all that apply. Blue molted or speckled coat with tan legs and chest? Check. Black patches or mass? Check. Will never understand the meaning of personal space? Check, check. Muscular or stocky build? Check. Strong herding work drive? Check. 0 to crazy in 0.5 seconds? Check, check, check. Possible Bentley mark? Independent and intelligent. You have a cattle dog. So we have a cattle dog, or possibly a velociraptor. So if a dog looked and acted like a healer and the other dog looked and acted like a healer, you kind of brought them together and, you know, there you have a healer. That's why now when we see these results, we can see where it's like, ooh, there was a oops, you know, that dog let that dog get it on, and now we don't have the purebred. And I think people need to keep that in mind for when they get the results back, because you shouldn't be too upset because, you know, somebody snuck in there, you know, like, and did a no-no. And some people get really upset and start saying that these tests are inaccurate and that they've changed my dog's DNA. So first off, you can't change DNA. It's kind of what you came in the world working with, and I hate to break it to you, you're pretty much stuck with it. I mean, it's DNA. It's what makes us look the way we do and sound the way we do and all that fun stuff. But the accuracy of these DNA tests, no matter what company you get it from, are up in like the 93, 97% or something. Somebody else can, you know, tell me for sure exactly, but I know it's like up in the 90 percentile type thing. And that's a fairly high percentage for accuracy. And of course, there's always room for error, whether it's through the consumer or through the company. So I know some people don't do the DNA test correctly, so the results are inconclusive, and the company might mess up too. I mean, this is science. There is trial and error. You know, even when I got back Silver and Lucian's results, I still had it even kind of in my head, like, well, I wonder how accurate this really is, you know? So I even sent in Kage's DNA. And Kage, I knew 100% for sure he was a purebred Kaiken. I had all his family history and paperwork, and I knew he was only 4 generations removed from the wild. But just to kind of check the accuracy of the test, I went ahead and sent in his DNA, and it came back he was 100% Kaiken, like I thought. So that kind of even validated it further for me that these tests are pretty accurate. And even that test coming back 100% really didn't mean a damn thing, because he did not act like the traditional characteristics of a Kaiken. People also seem to get upset too when they get different results back from multiple DNA companies. And what people need to keep in mind is not all companies are going to have the same database. They're not going to have all the same research and info collected as the other one, which can make the results slightly off as well. Whatever company you choose to go through, they're using what they have collected and researched. Like, they're trying to find those genetic markers to give you the best accurate results possible. Also, one company might be more updated than another company, and then they'll actually update your dog's results. And that doesn't mean they changed your dog's DNA. That they update those results. It's an updated, they've got more information. They've figured out more genetic markers. They even did that with my DNA tests I did on myself. Like, they updated it and showed that I had a couple more nationalities in there, which were ones I always thought I did that were missing. But anyway, so when they update it, doesn't mean they're changing anything. It just means they've got new data. The science is going to be changing on dog DNA testing, just like human DNA stuff has been changing since, you know, I mean, look at how DNA was back in the 1980s compared to this now, like the human DNA. So, I mean, it will change and evolve, you know, but I think it's cool that we actually have it, period. I love that I get to see my dog's ancestry, and, you know, it cures my curiosity, and I think it's great when I see the little whoops that happen throughout, you know, their ancestry. Like, that dog wasn't supposed to go in there. You also have to remember some breeds are added to actually create the dog into like a purebred status, so that could be why those dogs show up in the DNA results if you're really fixated on the purebred aspect. I think people fixate too much on that 100%. Yes, 100% means 100%. I totally acknowledge that. I understand that. And I understand the importance of that. I mean, I had a purebred dog, but again, he did not fit the bill when it came to personality. He didn't do half the stuff they were supposed to. But I think people fixate too much on the 100% purebred aspect. Because there's a lot more factors that go into what makes a dog purebred. I'm sure somebody else is going to yell about that again. Anyway, but that's fine. I'm saying my piece on the internet. I really don't care if I have purebreds. I want as close to possible having 100% cattle dogs, because that's the breed I know, and I know what to expect type thing. So, but I think if your results are 70% or higher, I think you're basically dealing with that breed. And I even confirmed all this with my vet. You know, they still, to this day, even though I've been out of the industry in a while, if the dog's not DNA tested, they will base what breed it is on looks and personality. Again, identifiable traits. And I even asked my vet if she would still consider my dogs to be Australian cattle dogs if they were 75% DNA tested for it, and she literally laughed at me and said, absolutely. And then she looked at me again and said, you've been on the internet too much again, haven't you? So there's a lot that goes into DNA and genetic testing and genetic markers. But I've never claimed any of my dogs were 100% purebred. I thought Silver could be. I've always said Lucian was a mix. It was still a shock that he came back 75% Australian cattle dog, because that derp that came out in that beautiful boy, like. And for those who are wanting to see my actual results, because me telling people what the results are apparently wasn't proper, here you go. Okay, so here's Silver's results again. So one of her parents was an Australian cattle dog, an American Staffordshire or Staffordshire. I'm done with the argument of how to correctly say it anymore. I think it's dialect based on where you live, but anyway, in Kelpie. So one of her parents obviously came from a line of cattle dogs. Like you can see, it's all cattle dog. And yeah, her other parent had a big whoopsie back here. And again, here is Lucian's. So one of his parents comes from a line of Australian cattle dogs. The other one, some crap got crazy there too and got mixed up. So, and here's Kage's family tree. And obviously it's all Kaiken. And when it comes to, like, you know, Silver and Lucian's results, this is what I'm talking about. They could have happened to where, you know, these dogs didn't look like the other ones in the DNA. They could have just looked like cattle dogs. So Silver really did come from a breeder. They just bred two dogs that they thought were both cattle dogs, and this is how it can sometimes happen this way. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with Lucian. Like, I think, I don't know, I just know he was from Kentucky and he came from a bad situation out of a house. I'm not sure if it was a farm or not. I'm not sure if it was a breeding place or not. He will always be my question mark derpy dog. Regardless of percentages, I will love my babies no matter what. But again, like I said earlier, I think if you're at 70% or more, you obviously are dealing mainly with that breed. Now, these two girls behind me, even though you can only see the one, for some reason feel different to me. And yes, as most of you know, I got the girls from a breeder, and all her cattle dogs looked and acted like cattle dogs. Like their dad, he was like that nice muscular, you know, 55 looking pound cow dog. Like he looked like a cow dog. He had that, he looked perfect. But their mother looked very lean, like very, she reminded me more Kelpie than cattle dog. So I am definitely excited to figure out what is in their DNA history. I mean, Gypsy and Clea still both look like cattle dogs, and they have a lot of the traits of cattle dogs, but I'm just curious to see like how much percentage wise. It's not that big of a deal to me. Like I said, to me, all my dogs are cattle dogs and will be cattle dogs, because they don't fit any of the other descriptions. Like even Silver, like her barking is more excessive than most cattle dogs. So, and I've heard other people tell me Kelpies have more of a bark to them, so that could be where that comes from. But other than that, she doesn't have any other traits, it seems like, of the breeds that were snuck into her ancestry. Gypsy's just tiny. Like she could just be the runt of the litter. I have seen healers out there testing 100% cattle dog that are on the smaller side. I've also seen cattle dogs test 100% with long hair. Not like super long, but like just a long, almost like a little bit shorter than border collie length hair. But again, they can still test 100%. And I know some people say, well, then it's not a real cattle dog. Well, it could be, because depending on how that genetic code is, it could be. So there's so much that goes into it. So just have fun with it. And now we're going to irritate the girls and get their DNA samples, because I am super, super excited to actually send them out so I can see the results in a couple weeks. It's moments like this I feel like a horrible mother, because she's sleeping so nicely. Now we're gonna like bother her with cheek swabs. It's okay, honey. You gotta put this in your mouth for 15 seconds. We gotta do more. You gotta do one more. It's okay, honey. Okay. It's all right, sweetheart. It's all right. 15 more seconds of this one. See, look, guys, help me. Just 15 more seconds. We're gonna do your other side, okay? So you don't get too much. I know, sweetie. I know. You don't have to open your mouth that far. That's a good girl. You did so good. Yes, you did. Now, you're like, I am leaving. I guess practicing brushing her teeth has helped for this. She did so good. I'm so proud of her. Gypsy, well, you wanna come sit down here with mommy? She's like, I saw what you did to my sister. She's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Gypsy, come closer. It's not gonna hurt you, babe, I promise. Here, lip up. You did good. You did so good. Gypsy, do you forgive mommy? Do you forgive your mama? Oh, honey. Am I forgiven? Yeah. Oh, I got a kiss. Okay, I'm forgiven. They act like it's so torturous, the poor thing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I have to go give the puppies some cookies now, because they deserve it after all that. And Clea's actually clawing at the door to get back in now, even though she decided to leave earlier. But just remember, no matter what company you go with the DNA testing, kind of just take it with a grain of salt. Just have fun with it. And if you like this video, remember to click all the buttons. Click the like, subscribe, with the dingy bell so you get notifications when I upload the next video. And we will post the results when we get them in. Yes, I know, you deserve belly rubs. Yeah. Anyway, take care, guys. I'll see you next time.